This is Popimpresska Journal, and we're here with Margrit Newman. She's an incredible artist, and she reminds me those amazing artists like Beatrice Wood, who was a famous potter, and also Jojo Keith. These women really took charge of their life and made a very big difference in the world as women and as incredible artists and influencers. So being in this amazing studio today, Margrit will show us everything that she's done in the past and tell us about her incredible life as an artist.
Oh.
Margrit, it's such a pleasure to be with you today.
For me too. Thanks for coming. And let's see what I can show you.
That's right. Well, I actually was learning about your storyline, and I know you're born in Switzerland.
Right.
And when did you move to the United States, and how was the transition made for you?
Yeah, it's a long story. So, of course, I grew up in Switzerland, and I worked in an art gallery, Gallery Beyeler, who is very famous. They have a museum now. So I learned a lot, and I took art courses in Switzerland. And then I met my love of life, my love.
Yes. How old were you when you met your first love, or that was your love of your life?
I was married when I met my second husband.
Really?
That's Thomas Newman, and he was American, actually original from Berlin. He was much older than me, but we still liked to start a life together. And actually I met him by showing him painting in the gallery and by selling him a Paul clay. So he not only got the painting, but he got also me with it as a bonus.
What a great combination!
Yeah. And then he left America and I left Switzerland, and we started our life in France.
Oh.
And that's really where I really seriously started painting. Because before I had not much time to do that, working at a gallery and seeing all these chefs-d'oeuvres, you felt very small. And so I had also my first shows then in France, in south of France. And we had 2 daughters born in France. And when politics changed in France, that means for Americans, tax imposition changed.
Well, what year was it, if you remember?
Yeah, that was 1980, 79, sort of. When Mitterrand came, things changed, and it would have meant to pay double taxation at that time. So you can't go on paying 2 taxes, each taxes in one country. So that's when he decided he moves back to America with the family. That was in 1980. And that's when we got settled down here.
In New York?
In New York,
You did come to New York?
Yes, not right away here, but somewhere else. And then later we found this place. And I continually went on painting. So that's, in short, my life story.
Well, being traveling a lot in your life, where did you find yourself mostly at home? Like, where do you think your heart belongs to?
Oops. Yeah, I'm very adaptable. Right now also we share half the year in Argentina. And I always loved France, and I think I still like France. And New York, as a place. Yeah, I don't know how it would be otherwhere in America, but I love New York and France. So I have 2 hearts.
2 best places.
Yeah.
And how did France influence you as an artist? Like, what was your inspiration behind that?
What was my inspiration?
Because when you move, I realize when you move, countries do influence your creativity.
Yeah.
Versus to New York, like where did you find yourself creating pieces differently?
Yeah, it's also in France. I started actually out with small boxes from insects, plants, and that was inspiring me to make another world around these objects. And that's, I think, mostly my inspiration, because we were living in the country,
of course.
and so I saw a lot of nature around, and I used it in my work, and I grew into other works, which I made what I call musical compositions, which were what would I say? Well, I will have to show you a little bit then, also to show it what my musical compositions are. It's not that I'm a musician or know a lot, but I felt it gave movement to the painting. It's like notes, but it's a different kind of notes in a landscape.
And I saw there was a piano, right? There was a piano on one of your pieces, the notes. You know, there was
the
keyboards, right?
Yes, so I made my own version of music sheets. Yeah.
So talking about music, I'm sure you love musical pieces. What is your most favorite musical composers of all times to you?
Of all times, I like blues and Django Reinhardt. I like Django Reinhardt. Yeah,
Very
his music, his gypsy music, and I love his music.
Why gypsy? Why that particular genre? Very interesting.
Maybe because it always intrigued me. People who could move from one place to another without any attachments.
Right, no things belonging, no belongings.
Right, and that was always very impressive to me. I don't think I could do it, but I admire it in other people who can do it. Yeah.
We're moving everywhere without anything.
Yeah, and singing their life through it.
That's right, no attachments.
Yeah.
Talking about traveling and moving from one place to another, when you moved to New York, you were in a different place. How did you find this location? Because this is like Canal Street we are on.
Yes.
Like what made you to move all the way on the west and like on the Canal Street area? Because there's Chinatown nearby.
Yeah. Well, we knew, especially Tom, he was always a collector, an art collector. So we had friends like Christo, Armand, and who are artists or were artists. And Armand, who actually owned this place. It was his studio, but he wanted to move, and at one time he said to Tom, well, if you want to buy this, it's yours. And that's how it came about. It was raw space because it was his studio, so that's when we made the loft. But at that time, it was only legal to live if in the family was an artist. So we were allowed to stay here. And later it became, the building got the CFO, so it's completely legal since many, many years now.
Right.
Anybody can now buy here. But it was an area, as you see, it has become very residential around, but at that time was not at all residential. And,
what year was it when you moved over here?
In 1984.
Oh, back then.
So it goes back a long time.
And the Warhol time, all those artists' time.
Yes.
It was like the Mecca. Have you met the artists from that era? You know, from New York, because there was Jean-Baptiste Basquiat and there was Warhol.
I met Basquiat on an opening, and in the building also it was only artists. Actually, the son of Liechtenstein used to live here.
Interesting.
And Armand lived here, Bernard Benet of the painting is by him, that
Oh,
one.
excellent.
Yeah, and it was actually a lot of French artists, Sosno, Bernard Venet, Armand. They were all living here at one time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You were right there in the
Yes.
Mecca.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now let's have a tour. We'll go
Okay.
around and you can show us your work. And that
Yeah.
looks like, what is that? And now there's a green. Is that the picture also, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's taken from a rusty wall. I love walls which are deteriorating because they also tell you a lot of things. I mean, it's at one time when I was photographing, by the way, a wall which was crumbling, there came two young girls and said, "What do you see in them? It's crumbling, it's nothing." I said, "Well, that's just the story. It's crumbling, but there was something in the back before." And that's how I want to bring it back to life with my own interpretation.
So basically that's like everything has its continuation.
Right. I mean, you see it or you don't see it, but it's here for a purpose.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, shall we?
Yeah, okay. So I made also these boxes,
Right.
the plant boxes.
And now with the boxes like that, how did you put it together? Like what is going on here?
Yeah, so the background here is from palm tree. So that I buy somewhere in the store. I
pine
can't
tree
read.
inside,
Yes,
right?
yeah. And then and these are cigar boxes.
Oh,
Yeah.
cigar boxes.
Yeah.
Clever.
Fancy cigar boxes, yeah. And so I make their natural world around. Yeah.
And those just like decoration, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do you make those too?
I mean, they are the real thing.
Oh.
But I dry them,
Uh-huh.
and then I make my own kusama.
It's like a
Yeah.
sculpture almost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is actually very good for
Yeah.
like, Halloween or
Yeah.
kind of fall.
Yeah,
And
so-
this is too, right?
Yeah, that's from Asia, from
Oh.
an Asian, yeah.
Mhm.
So I collect, as you see, things like that which inspire me, like this on a beach, or this was also on the beach from a coconut.
Oh, yes.
So I love these natural forms.
It brings life
Yeah.
to life.
And so there, like here too, that's just this item which, it's also from a crumbling wall, as you see. And then I go on and make my own composition around.
And the color is really beautiful because I know that like old master painters, they used a lot of blue for
Yeah.
their like church paintings. So that
Yeah.
like reminds me of something like really deep blue color,
Yeah.
which was like really popular.
And this I call my quiet painting because it's very meditative.
Is it the rain? Is it the rain or just the water?
It's just the water, yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the 4 seasons.
Uh-huh.
And it looks very Pollock-like,
Yes.
but it's from grass, of course. It's
Oh.
the grass which goes through all the seasons. Yeah.
Now this is winter, right?
Right.
The first and the
yeah.
fall.
Fall, summer, and spring.
This is spring. The
Yeah.
green is spring, and
Yeah.
some is yellow green,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Interesting. And then, did you also enlarge those pieces?
These are no photos. That's only
Oh,
painted.
Only painting.
Yeah,
How,
there is no photo on it, so
How
that's
interesting.
only painted. Yeah.
how clever! Beautiful piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Very great. All right. So let's
All right.
move to your studio.
Yeah. So it's a lot of stuff here. So and I try, as you see, my mineral world,
Crystals,
and
right?
crystals, and also little things I find which always inspire me for something. Stones, things I find on the street, like this one.
Oh, you found that on the street. Did you
Yes,
bring it in?
and I bring it in, yeah. So I take the photo and then I print it on canvas. I'll show you my big printer then that you see.
Oh,
Yeah, and then as with everything else, I want to include it into their own sphere, or give some atmosphere or sphere.
It's sphere.
Yeah.
Look, it sounds very
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
And
And this is a small leaf, and of course I made it bigger, but you see all the details.
And the cracks
it
here.
becomes almost like calligraphy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, the shadows so blend in together.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's not finished because there are a little more details to it, but I'm on my way with it.
That's acrylic, right?
Yes.
How many layers do you have here? Because it's very deep blue, almost dark blue.
Yeah, the blues are the most difficult, by the way, to get them right. Especially if you have to go close to what you take as a photo.
Oh.
That's the hardest color to get it properly. So here I think I have already 10 layers.
And
on
how long the whole process takes you?
Well, since it's acrylic, and I dilute acrylic, so it's not the thick one. It's like almost watercolor.
Oh.
So I go over and over, and usually it dries. I can do 3 layers in a day, I think. So
because it dries so fast.
Yeah. Because with oil it would take ages.
Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I was in the museum of Picasso, and there was a blue period.
Oh, yes.
In Barcelona, Spain. That museum he has, and I remember there was a lot of blues like that too. Reminds me.
For me. And here are my really first ones.
Oh.
So now let's see when this was done. 62.
62.
And 62.
See.
So that's.
Is that Arlequin?
It's what I call my Firebird by.
The Firebird.
Yeah.
And it was very popular back then in France, the Firebird, and
yes,
the whole Moulin Rouge and Russian style.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's my early, yeah.
And that is also the same period?
Yes, yeah. So that's from where I come and grew.
Yes, actually. And because Toulouse-Lautrec was also doing a lot of dancing competitions. And this is like almost dancing.
Yes,
so
it's from the ballet.
Ballet, yes, of course. Yeah. Beautiful piece, beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me put this here. Now, why did you decide to do voodoo dolls? What's behind that inspiration for you?
As much as I'm interested in natural objects, stones, crystals, plants, I'm also interested in spiritual forces, which you can't see, but still you feel there's something here.
Right.
And I saw once an exhibition about voodoo art, and it intrigued me a lot. And then I said, I make my own voodoo dolls, with my own spirit in it and with my own force. So here they are. I mean, these should be then framed into boxes, but I can only do so much because it's very, very costly. But here it's also with an element from nature.
Oh, I see.
From watch. These are from watches.
That's watches.
Yeah, and this is like moss. Or lichen, and this I do myself. Then I do my own. The material is from old T-shirts and stuff like that, and the face is papier mâché.
Oh, interesting. Now, how do you make it from papier mâché?
It's newspaper, water, and until it becomes hard.
Amazing.
It's like pottery almost.
Right.
Yeah. And
that's a lot of elements together, basically. But all kind of organic.
Yes.
Behind it.
Mostly organic. Yeah. And then when they are in a box, it feels like they have their own world. They are protected.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
more like when you see it like this, it's a work, but it's not in its own intimacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's an element of itself.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So here too, it's also these things I find. Yeah,
Mm. Interesting. Also moth.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a leaf.
Yeah, and then of course the leaves, they have to be lacquered and worked on that they don't deteriorate. All
Right.
these things have to, because the natural objects, they
And
crumble with time. Yeah.
And insects, right? Insects.
Also, yeah, yeah.
How do you make it that insects don't get into it or get rid of the
Well,
insects?
the insects I'm usually buying.
Mhm.
You know, they are already treated. It's like you see them in the museum in a box.
Right.
Yeah, or like the butterflies. So they are already treated, so I buy them because I don't know. I wouldn't know how to do it.
Okay, it's a whole process there.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
of course.
it's a,
Oh, look
oh
at
yeah,
that.
and here's a stone
Mhm.
and a little, what is it, acorns, a little
Okay,
acorns,
acorns.
yeah.
Mm. And then you also painted that over, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And the back.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's also a whole series.
Uh-huh.
I usually work in series.
Series.
When I have a theme,
Uh-huh.
I make more of one series, and then I go on to another period. Yeah.
And now, what is the period now?
Well, my mostly is these things here from graffiti, what I find,
graffiti.
street art, and also this is also graffiti, but in different countries.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, as you see, I take the subject, but as with everything else, I go on and create
The pieces.
the piece, which, because these works, they after a few years they won't exist anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, on the in real.
Well,
in real,
like the Berlin Wall. It
Yeah.
was taken apart by pieces and
Yes,
pieces with a graffiti
yeah,
on it.
yeah. And so I actually fix it. That means I make it not eternal. I don't know how long it will last, but for a long time at least. And here's another box.
Oh,
That's how when it was yeah.
So what's going on inside there? It looks like a watch on the left, right?
Yes, and the other one is a rose de cèdre.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the English name. Cedar rose.
Cedar
you know
rose.
the rose is on the cedar trees.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
this. So I combined it also as like a mantric. It's all like a mantra,
Mm-hmm.
but still going on and on.
Around in
like with the
circles.
rose also has layers and layers,
Right.
and the watch also goes on and on.
An Indian circle.
Yeah.
An Indian
yeah,
circle,
yeah.
basically. And is that your piece yours?
No, these are.
But your studio is very artistic and full of such an inspiring objects.
Yeah, well, whatever I can find.
And then I've seen the beetle there. It's an Egyptian beetle, right? That you got.
Yes.
Let me see.
Yeah.
How old is that beetle?
Oof, that I don't know, but I think it can be because it was bought in a gallery. I mean in a store where they have the butterflies. Actually, I go and get you a box which I can show you from where I buy.
Okay.
You see.
Oh wow! Look at this.
That's yeah.
Oh wow! That's
yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
That beautiful bug.
Yeah.
And that's a huge beetle.
Yes.
That's a
yeah,
big one.
yeah,
Is that
see?
like the Egyptian one, right? Or something
I think
else?
it's more. This exists more in Asia. I think in the tropical forests. So these are also the graffiti scenes, which I create and around it.
Where'd you find that actually?
that was when we were in Chile, in South America. They have very beautiful graffiti in South America. I don't use the tags, which they do today, but these were actually this was taken in a town which had been almost ruined by an earthquake.
Oh.
So there were a lot of crumbling walls and people were painting on them. But today, I actually went back last year and it doesn't exist anymore because they are rebuilding the city.
They are.
Yeah. So these are actually moments of that time which I could capture.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you realize by traveling to different places from people? Like, what's the most shocking for you as far as cultures and everything else? How do you find people's behavior and things like that very different? What do you think?
Well, these for me are very touching because they show that people want to express themselves and try to overcome a catastrophe,
Right.
and that's very impressive. It's very touching. It goes very close to you, and I try to see the good things mostly and forget the bad. I don't know what would upset me most. Well, of course, violence.
Right.
But so far, I got lucky. I could stay a little bit away from those scenes because it's not inspiring.
That's true. Do you believe in those civilizations like Atlantis, Lemuria, that they were like big, huge, basically big, huge places that just vanished overnight? Do you believe in civilizations like that? That they were out there somewhere, they're bringing stories to us? Because they also had like pottery and everything that's found.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical still. I know we are probably not the only one
Right.
in this big cosmos, but I like to believe in things I don't see, but sometimes, like Atlantis, for me is more a fantasy, which we would like to believe or
Right.
to. And it's nice to believe in things like that. It just shows we go on. I mean, we don't even know how we will develop.
True. What is the most rarest object you ever found?
The most rare object,
Yes.
also living.
Living object, or maybe some piece of yes, material or something.
Yeah, a small meteorite.
Oh, you did find where?
Yes.
Where did you find it?
Well, I found it in Argentina, there in the desert, and small meteorite, and.
That's incredible. You still have it?
Yes, I carry it with me. It's so small, I carry it in the purse, so that it would recreate.
Interesting. Well, shall we go to?
Yeah. Okay.
To see.
So,
Those are your boxes, right?
yeah, but they are later boxes. These are really the earliest ones with insects and plants and little objects in it. That's really the early one, which I showed you. I think I can show you one more. So let's see.
Oh yes, those. Oops.
Yeah, I bring it out.
I'll help you.
Yeah.
So this would be a seashell.
Yeah, that's millions of years old.
This one.
Yeah, the shell, that's millions of years old.
How'd you get that piece?
Well, I didn't find it.
You didn't find it?
No,
Oh, it's incredible.
That's
Million
difficult,
years
yeah.
old. And that's actually a watch,
Watch
right?
from a watch, yeah. So for me, the spiral is never ending. So just want to make my affirmations that things are never ending.
Right, like a circle.
In whatever form.
Mhm.
And also here too, that's
That's a
bee nest. I mean, from a bee.
It's real.
It's real, yeah.
It's really. And bees now are extinct, and I know that a lot of unfortunately.
We do a lot of harm. We do a lot of harm, and we need them. And we need them so much.
We do.
And this has nothing, no collage, but this is more, when I said spiritual thinking, like the voodoos, like here too, the American Native Americans with the feathers and the snake and the eye.
Oh.
Yeah.
From a Native American inspiration, right?
Right. And
you have feathers here?
The feathers, which they use so much, and as and the snake also, which is a very big symbol in the Native American history. So I made the combination of both of it to make one symbol, actually.
Yes. Well, it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. And this is also cigar box as well, or?
No, this is a chocolate box.
Swiss chocolate box.
This is great. Swiss chocolate box. Swiss chocolate box. Yeah.
Cigars were those are cigars, right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. All right, so we'll move to the vein room.
Yeah.
Or do you want to show us maybe a few things here?
Yeah. So, maybe I want to show you the one where we were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
So when we were talking about the musical compositions,
yes.
So that's my interpretation of music.
Squares.
Very clever. And into a landscape, sort of.
Right.
Yeah. So I made a series of that too. And I'll probably go back to do some more of this.
Those are great. That's beautiful.
Probably. We can leave it here.
Right. Yes. This is all your collection.
Yeah.
How many pieces you would say you created during your lifetime of such an amazing
I
journey?
can't tell you that exactly because I write down every piece.
You do?
So I made about 1,100 pieces.
1,100.
Yeah, but of that I have around 700 still here. Yeah.
And the rest is
It's
flowing
gone
around the world.
Well, some I throw out when I'm no more happy. They go out, destroy, and some were sold.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like every artist has its creative moods.
Yeah, and once in a while you think, oh no, that's not good enough, and then it goes out.
And then you want to show two pieces.
Let's see. Oh, here's another music which I think is pretty nice. They are heavy, these, huh?
Oh wow!
I get it great. Yeah, so that's my Indian song.
Oh yes, it looks very Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Like with that door.
Yeah.
Like I would say something like a Turkish Sultan harem and
kind of it was from India.
Oh, from India.
It was from an Indian palace.
Beautiful.
So my song.
Yeah, beautiful.
So would you consider this part of the musical composition series or
yes.
the wall? Okay.
Yeah,
musical
no, that's more from the
musical
composition series. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a combination of
Yeah.
almost like architectural design with the element of music in it. Interesting.
Yeah. That's from New Mexico in Taos. Is that church? It's a very architecturally well-known church, and I made this out of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's in a church which is very much photographed. It's in Taos, and so I only have a few. That's why I didn't show it at the gallery. That's a series also together with the window which you saw.
Yes.
I made a couple of windows like that, which I call my quiet paintings.
Your quiet painting.
Yeah.
Actually, that was very peaceful.
Yeah.
This one actually gives the feeling of a peace and kind of calmness.
Oops.
And that's
dusty, huh?
okay.
Yeah.
Put this here.
Okay. Yeah. I'll do it then further. So there is also then over there another one in that style in the living room. Yeah, that's fine.
So we will
Yeah.
continue to the living room.
Yeah. I mean, we could go to every room because I have paintings in every
Everywhere.
room. But
That's very exciting. Is that yours too?
Yes.
Oh, can you show me that one? It's
Yeah.
very interesting bird.
yeah, yeah. So that's again from South America, a graffiti on a wall.
And what
which,
that means? Could you
It
see?
means what to say.
Oh, what to say?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
birds say things we don't understand.
Yeah, what to say. And that was also in the town which had been destroyed by the earthquake. And now they make, now this wall doesn't exist anymore. Now they make new buildings, yeah, glass palaces. Yeah.
Glass.
So this is what's left.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
You have it with you.
Yeah.
You have it with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Painting, it's my Iceland painting with all with the grass, snow,
That's water.
water, and fire, volcano,
Volcano.
and moss. So it's the elements. It's the elements of which describe Iceland. So it's on one painting.
No.
I mean, it should be up, but okay.
Well, you can go a little bit, right?
Yeah, you
see
can
like that.
actually. Yeah.
Like this.
So,
It's 1995,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, if you would like base your impression and favoritism, what is like the most nature disaster, like as far as like hurricanes or volcanoes? What is the most intriguing to you? What do you think is the most fascinating nature situation when it comes together, like in a chaos?
Volcano.
Volcano.
For me, volcano. I would like to go once into a volcano to see how it is. Yeah.
Well, diamonds are made there.
Yes,
volcano.
exactly. Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I think for me, volcanoes are the force which can destroy, of course, but also what comes down will be then fertile.
Right.
It's for the earth. Yeah, so it has all these elements in it, in a volcano. I think, okay, it's disastrous sometimes, but it has also its good sides.
Yeah. And what's your favorite nature object?
Nature object. Well,
Since you work with them.
Yeah, it's still crystals.
Crystals.
Yeah, in any form. In any form, stones, minerals. It's actually minerals. Yeah.
Your favorite time of the year?
My favorite time of the year is fall.
Fall. Why?
Because of the colors. Especially here in America, I could get drunk on the colors.
Well, anyway, so your favorite time of the year?
Yeah, fall because of the colors.
Right.
Because of the shades in the colors and everything, and it's very lively. And we know also afterwards we go through more difficult time
Right.
through winter.
Winter is colder.
Yeah. So we have to sort of feed ourselves before.
Time of the year would be fall, and then the holiday.
I'm not so much into holiday. No, it's. I think it's because it's so commercial today.
You think?
That's maybe why it affects me a little bit.
But if you would celebrate one fully with your family, like you would get together, which one would it be?
It still would be Christmas.
Would it be?
Yeah, it still would be Christmas, more than Thanksgiving, because I didn't grow up with Thanksgiving in Switzerland, so it's still more foreign celebration. But Christmas is from little baby on.
Right.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, what is the most valuable lesson you learned from your family and your parents, of course?
Yeah. Well, what was the lesson? Yeah. Don't harm anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was our. Yeah, don't hurt anybody. That was my main lesson which I got from my family. Even if sometimes you get hurt yourself, but don't hurt back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that stays with me. I try not to harm anybody. That's why I make art. I don't harm anybody.
Right, with art, that's
Yeah.
true. It's very peaceful.
Yes, yeah.
Very,
Yeah, especially what I'm doing is pretty peaceful, I think.
very.
Yeah.
It's calming.
Yeah.
Calming. It makes people think of nature
Yeah.
objects
Yeah.
and the places to visit
Right, yeah.
that you had
Yeah.
in your wall.
Yeah. That's maybe, on the one side, it's maybe a difficulty, to get it out because it's so quiet.
Right.
Because we live in pretty chaotic times, pretty violent times. And actually we would need this, but I think it's not the time yet, maybe.
When do you think the time is?
Well, it should come soon.
When you were going through life, and I know you were during World War II, where were you during World War II?
In Switzerland?
In Switzerland.
Yeah. But I didn't really realize it. I was too small.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was too small, and we lived in Basel, just at the frontier. So we would hear the sirens, the planes, and so on. But as a kid, you didn't really realize. As long as you were fed properly, I think
You
that was,
realized.
yeah, and had a roof. I think that was it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And what would be your 3 wishes?
My 3 wishes.
Yeah.
My big wish is that I could live until my last granddaughter is a teenager. So that's a big wish.
Right.
And in good health.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
in
course.
good
Good
health.
health important.
And second wish would be that my work would be recognized. And of course, third wish, which should be the first, is that you stay healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
Margrit.
welcome. It was a pleasure doing this and talking with you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Popimpresska, and she's a beautiful woman.
Thank you so much.